Hi, welcome back. So we got everything out. We got it all pressure washed. The next thing I think we're going to do is sand it all down and get it primed. We're not going to get too crazy with it. I don't have a sandblaster and I don't have the time or money to take it to somebody to have it sandblasted. So we're just going to do the next best thing and we're just going to sand everything down and then prime it all. So it's all, sealed up and it'll be ready for the next stage. And then we'll get that stuff out of the way. And then this afternoon, we're going to be pulling all the fiberglass inside here, and we're going to begin on the fiberglass repairs. And I'm pretty excited about that because I really want to get this thing, bring it back around and make the fiberglass look good and make it nice and strong again. All right, so I got one of these paint stripper wheels. I've never tried one before. I don't know if they're any good. We're gonna try it out. See. Well, that's pretty freaking awesome. I mean, you can see it took basically no time at all, and we got it right down to the bare metal. It should be ready for primer. So I'm going to go ahead and we're just going to, I don't know if I'm going to take everything down to bare steel like this, but if we can at least get it smoothed down and cleaned up, good enough for ready for a coat of primer, then I think we'll be good there. Probably going to leave this guy alone because we're going to need to do a lot of work to that in the future, but let's get this thing cleaned up. All right, so this thing works pretty dang good. I do have to say the one thing I've noticed is very brittle. And so if you're running it and you catch a corner on something, it will break and shatter off. And as you can see, we just did this not a whole lot, and it's already pretty chewed up. We're just down to kind of this smaller stuff here in the middle. It is still working. I don't see why we can't continue to use it, but I would recommend a regular flapper wheel for places that you might you're going to get in kind of tight with. But it also does do some very light grinding. So if you've got, little, like around the bolt holes here, sometimes you'll have like a little high spot, and you can actually just kind of work that in, and it'll take it away. Also, it doesn't seem to be leaving a lot of residue or anything like that. So let me wipe this thing down, and let's get this thing painted, and then we'll move on to that, get that thing cleaned up. And I think this would probably work better on just large flat surfaces, car. getting these pug frames all cleaned up and making them look good as new kind of reminds me of one of my favorite Bible verses, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. Seek His will in all you do, and He will show you which path to take. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for today. I know it's not really that exciting, and I worked. It took me about 6 hours to get everything, moved out, pressure washed, sanded, primed, moved back in, cleaned up. It took me pretty much all day today, but we got this thing all rocking, ready to rock and roll. Up next, we're gonna do fiberglass. We're gonna be getting all the fiberglass. We're gonna be diving into that. We're gonna be fixing all of this, and we're gonna make it look as good as new as much as humanly possible. I'm not a super fiberglass expert, but hey, I've watched all the same YouTube videos you have, so let's give it a shot. I'm not too worried about it. I think we're gonna make it. I think she's gonna turn out pretty good. And she's gonna look pretty nice. So we're gonna start with this guy because it needs the least amount of work. It just needs to kind of be spruced up a little bit. I do have a couple little repairs we're gonna have to make, and I'm gonna go ahead and fill in all of the bolt holes, and we're gonna make all the repairs on the fiberglass here. We're gonna do some reinforcing to it and get this all patched up, and then we'll paint it. And as you can see, it was originally the white and the red, and it looks to me like somebody painted it with this greenish gray. But I don't know what kind of paint they used. It was on the frame, and it was very gummy. When I got through the gray and into the original red on the frame, then it just went like regular paint did. But the gray was very gummy, and it kind of actually loaded up the grinding wheel a little bit. I did want to real quick kind of go over these stripping pads that I got. They work really, really well. They don't get loaded up with paint except for the gray stuff. The red stuff didn't load up on it at all. I do have to say the one thing you have to be very cautious of is if you bump it into anything. If you're grinding here and you bump into something just like that to the side of it, it will start taking chunks off, and you can't run the guard on, at least this one, I can't run the guard on this. The guard would hit it, and so I had to take the guard off. So you're sitting there grinding away, and chunks start flying off and hit you in the hand, and it hurts pretty good. But very impressed because it grinds the paint off just as good as I would say as like a flapper wheel, but it doesn't leave any scratches on the steel. So it's harder than the paint, but not as hard as the steel. So then you don't have to do any prep to the steel after you've ground the paint off. When you're done with this, you're ready to paint. Obviously, you got to clean it off, get dust and whatnot off, but you don't have to do any prep. You don't have to do any surface prep. The steel's perfectly smooth. You also can do very light grinding with it. If you got some imperfections around the holes, sometimes in the holes, there'll be a little lip right around the hole. This will actually knock it down. You're not going to be taking off a weld or something like that, but it will knock off, chunks or, kind of imperfections more than anything. So little weld splatter spots, I wouldn't recommend, using this to grind off any imperfections, but if you got some in there, it'll cut right through it. It will chew up the pad, as you can see. But there was on that front frame there was a lot of angles and plates, and there was a couple times where I was just going right along, I wasn't paying attention, thunk, and chunks were missing. So I think if you used it on a very large, smooth surface, let's say a car body, like the hood or the fenders, something like that, you can just go over the whole thing, and you're really not going to hit into anything, maybe like the bumper or something like that. So you just got to be careful in that general area. But yeah, I absolutely highly recommend that for large surfaces, way faster than using a sander with sandpaper. And I think you get a much better result. You're ready to paint. I got the frames over there. They're all painted up. They're all dry, and they're sitting over there, and they look perfect. They look absolutely smooth. I'm not seeing any imperfections through them or anything like that. I did also happen across the serial number of the machine, so I'm really excited about that. I'm going to try to look into that and see if we can figure out the year and all of that. So thanks for stopping by. Thanks for hanging out, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you next week when we get started on the fiberglass.